This is video 2 in my Fun Spelling Facts for Grown-Ups series, and today we're going to talk about how we add suffixes to words and how we change word endings before we add a suffix. So, in the olden days, English had two different sets of vowels. It had one's like I don't know if it exactly sounded like and then it had a longer version of there was something like like in time it was longer, which is why we have now the name short vowels for these, and not actually shorter versions than the long vowels, which are often spelt like this with an E. I don't mind whether you call it split vowel spelling or silent final E. But you get the idea. This is tap, and then you can make it into tape. This is them, and then you can make it into theme. This is din, and you make it into dine. This is hop, and you can make it into hope. And this one is cut, and you can make it into cute. And it's a very clever way of squeezing. It's actually 12 sounds, because you could have like in put here, and this one oo could be oo like in rule, or it could be you like in cute. So it's actually squeezing 12 sounds out of our 5 vowel letters that we're not counting Y. We'll come to Y in a minute. So now we've got our suffixes. These ones are inflectional suffixes, so they're part of the grammar of the language. So we've got plural S or ES, like cats or dogs or buses, and I'll talk to you in another video about why they're different pronunciations of those. And also third person S, like jumps and dance dancers. Then we have possessive S, the cat's pajamas. We have ED, which again is pronounced 3 different ways depending on what it's joining onto. So like packed or begged or landed shows you that's past. EN as in taken, ing as in dancing, meaning more as in bigger, and est is the most, the biggest. And then we also have some inflectional suffixes. This is just a small subset of the inflectional suffixes to give you an idea about them. Now what we're going to do is we're going to rearrange these suffixes. We're going to have the vowel ones, the ones that start with a vowel at the top, and the ones that start with a suffix, with a consonant, at the bottom. I count Y as a vowel for the purposes of suffixes because it's said as a, like E, like in lucky, it's said as a vowel at the end of words. So we'll have those ones at the top. Have we got any other vowel ones there? No. Okay, so those ones are consonant suffixes, start with a consonant. These ones start with a vowel. And that's relevant to adding them to the end of words. Let's move those over. Okay, so if we want to make tape into taping, this starts with a vowel. And so when it comes along, this vowel, feel free to add sound effects, knocks off the E. So a vowel comes along and it can knock off the final E. That's not the case for example, if you had something that usually has tapes, and then you can say, oh, that's a tapeless thing. You don't drop off the E if you add a consonant suffix. I know that's not actually a proper thing, tapeless. But, you don't drop off the E if it starts with a consonant. You do if it starts with a vowel. So you can have dine, so you don't need 2 E's. That one goes, and then you can have cutest, the cutest puppy of the lot, like that, and it knocks that E off. So that's all good. Now we're going to go back and have a look at what happens with these sort of words. So we'll go back to tap, them, and dine, and hop, din, and hop, and everything's flying everywhere, and cut. Okay, so if I want to make, for example, hop, so we had before, when we do it like that, hoping, or hoped, we put the ED like that, and now I want to put this ED, or maybe this ing, onto the end of hop. That's hoping, and that's hoped. So how do you know the difference between hopped and hoped? And the answer is you need to have another p. So this double shows you that's an O. And the same for any doubles here, like if you have dinner, where's another N, can't find one. If you have double N there, that would be an I, not an I. So look out for doubled consonants. They tell you how to say the preceding vowel. Be careful, however, that kids understand when to double and when not to double. So doubling happens when you have one vowel letter and then one consonant letter. That's when you need another consonant letter before you put the ing on or the ed on or any other suffix that starts with a vowel. But if you want to put ed on the, or land-ing on the end of here, it's one vowel, two consonants, landed, so you don't double that one. And the same thing for wished or wishing, we don't double because that's two consonant letters. And the same thing if you've got two vowel letters. This is a vowel spelling and this is a vowel spelling in my way of thinking. Barking, because it's two letters for the vowel and then one letter for the consonant, we don't double. And the same for needed, we don't double that D because there's two vowels, not just one vowel at the end. So it's when there's one vowel, one consonant, and you're adding a vowel suffix. The other thing to be aware of is that we only double after a stressed syllable. So it's got to be a, e, I, or u. You put a double after, like putting, for example. But if you're getting into longer words, they often have an unstressed syllable. So open, we just say here. We don't say we don't say open, we say open. And that one we say admit, I admit. So that's and that's but we write them with different letters, and we say when we're spelling them open and admit, say them the way they're spelt. When you go to put a suffix on the end of a word that's got an unstressed syllable as the last vowel before the consonant, you don't double. It's got to be stressed before you double, before that vowel brings on the doubling. And then if you have a word like admit and you want to make it into I admitted I was wrong, that's admitted. That's an I, not an it. If you do it like that to make it into an it, go pinch this here and make it into admitted. Oh, upside down this time. The third change that we often have to make to the end of a word before we can add a suffix is related to the vowel letter Y. So the letter Y is an I sound here in buy or I or buy, and also in some verbs like fry. So if I want to make fry into, for example, frying, easy, no problem. However, if I want to make fry into, notice that Y and I are next to each other here. We don't like to have two Y's in a row or two I's in a row. If I take away that ing, if I want to make it into fried, English for some reason doesn't really like having Y and then ED. We like to have I in the middle, like that. So we swap out that Y and put in an I. So that's fried, and then you can have fries. You want to have fries with that. And you can have, dries, and then make it into dried. But then if you want to make that back into drying, that's no good because it's two I's together. So we've got to take that I away and put the Y back in. Now there are four funny little words that instead of having the usual Y at the end have IE, like pie. There's pie. Lie, would I lie to you? Tie your shoelaces and die. And then if I want to put ing on the end of that, we don't really like to have IEI in English. So we swap that out and make it into dying. And the same thing, if you want to have tying, it's like that. But if you want to have tie by itself, it's like that. The same for lie. I can tell that that person who likes to lie is lying. So it swaps back as well. Now the other interesting thing about this changing Y to I business, before you add a suffix, one thing is it could be an E sound, not just an I like in cry. It could be E like in baby or happy. You still do that swap thing. And so if I want to make baby into babies with ES, I add I. And if I want to make happy into happier, I have to take that Y away and put I. But also, if I am going to add, for example, here, I might add happiness. We still change the Y from happy into happy, letter I, when we make it into happiness. Or if I wanted to do happily, I still change it into an I before a suffix. So this changing Y to I business, it happens before vowel suffixes and also consonant suffixes. Not all the time. Sometimes you have situations where you've got a homophone, like you've got dry, for example, and then you want to make it into drier. Well, there's two meanings for this suffix. It could be more, like in more dry. When you put that on, you do swap. It's a drier, Australia is a drier continent than many others. However, if you want to have the dryer that does the drying, the thing that does the action, this is also an agent noun suffix. So like swim, swimmer, the swimmer does the swimming, blend, blender, the blender does the blending. When we use it as an agent noun suffix, we often don't change Y to I. We keep the dry in the hairdryer or the clothes dryer. One thing to remember when you've got AY, EY, OY spellings at the end, you do not change that Y into an I when you're adding a suffix. And children need to be told that, or they'll do it. So they need to understand that played, we do not make that into an I. We keep the AY because it's AY, it's not just a letter Y by itself. Grey, greying, my hair is greying, or I'm toying with the idea of going home, or player. Those ones all keep the Y.